Hi there. I'm going to show you briefly how you can install the IECM under CrossOver on a Mac. Now this Mac is running Catalina, so it can only run 64-bit applications. The nice thing about CrossOver is that it can actually run 32-bit Windows applications, which is important here because I'm going to use the IECM installer, and the IECM installer is a 32-bit application which will install either 32 or 64-bit IECM depending on what your system requires. So I'm going to start here by clicking Install a Windows application, and I'm going to call this IECM 11.4, and then I have to select Unlisted Application, IECM 11.4. So it was trying to search for application that it knew about. So that's why I had to select that instead of just typing it. So I've got that done. I'm going to say continue, and then it will go up here to select installer, and I'm going to click choose installer file, and I'm already in the right directory. I want IECM 11.4 setup. So I just double clicked that and continue. Now notice it skipped over select bottle. It's going to install from my installer here that I just built, and it's going to install it into a new Windows 7 bottle named IECM 11.4. Now if I was running an older version of the IECM, that would be okay, and that would actually be probably preferred because the older versions of the IECM are 32-bit. So you would have to use a 32-bit bottle in order to run them. However, this version of the IECM can actually be installed 64-bit as well, and we would prefer to do that. So I'm going to come back up here to select bottle, and I'm going to say give me a new Windows 10 64-bit bottle, and say continue. So now we're back to install and finish. It's going to use this installer, and it's going to give me a new Windows 10 64-bit bottle. So I say install, and then it's going to take a little bit of time here. Generally, it's best to install things into their own bottle if you can. That way there's no interference. If you want to get rid of an application, you can just delete the bottle that it's in. You could tell it to use an existing bottle if you wanted to, but we recommend that you just install it in its own bottle. It just keeps things a little simpler. Okay, so it has finished creating the new bottle and should be starting the IECM installer any minute now. Okay, so here's the IECM installer. Let me bring this window in where you can see it. So I accept the license agreement, the README. The default location is perfectly fine. So we are ready to install. So now it's actually running the installer, and this is installing the 64-bit version of the IECM. And you can actually see up here in the title bar it says 64-bit. So it has detected that the bottle is 64-bit. It thinks it's running under 64-bit Windows. So it's installing that version. Okay, so it has finished installing it. I'm going to uncheck Launch IECM Interface 11.4. I don't want to run it just yet. I want to let this thing finish doing its thing. So I hit finish on the installer, and then CrossOver is going to do a little bit more work after that. There we go. So it says it completed the installation. You can look in the log if you need to see any diagnostic information. We don't really need any diagnostic information. Looks like everything was successful. So I'm going to click Done. So now if I come here to my bottles, I've got this new IECM 11.4, which I just created. And this is all the stuff that would be in the Start menu if you installed it on a Windows machine. So you can see this is nicely contained here. It's also, everything's in all bottles, but it's kind of, you can't really tell which thing goes with which version. So we go to the bottle where we installed this, we have everything self-contained here, and it's just easier to work with that way. So if I double click IECM interface 11.4, then it will run the IECM. There we go. So we got the splash screen, and we've got the startup screen. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful. Have a good day.